ladies, welcome back for another video. My name is Makayla if you are new, and today we're talking all about money and wealth and abundance. The lessons that I'm getting ready to share with you could have prevented years of financial stress and mismanagement. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. Growing up, I was never taught about how money works or how to properly manage money. Everything that I learned about money came from how I seen my parents manage money and how I heard everyone else talk about money, all the adults around me. Your money story starts in your childhood because your subconscious mind is still being developed. It's like a walking sponge when you're so small. When I was little, I heard phrases such as,
all rich people are evil, money is evil, as long as I owe you, you'll never be broke. You have to work really hard for money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Do you have McDonald's money?
All of these phrases that I heard growing up contributed to my money story that ran the program of my life as an adult. And for me, growing up in the church, there was like an underlying attitude of, you can't be spiritual and rich. You can't be a good Christian if you have too much money, or the poorer you are, the closer you are to God. I noticed that a lot of people in the church would demonize money and look down on people who had a lot of money, but at the same time, they also complained that they never had enough money, or they would talk about all the things that they would do if they ever came into some money, if they ever became rich. As a child, hearing so many negative and conflicting things about money created limiting beliefs that continued all the way through my adulthood. When I was 19 years old, I got my first credit card and had no idea what I was doing. I would always find myself in debt, overspending, maxing out my credit cards. I accumulated so much credit card debt throughout my early and mid-20s because I didn't know that my limiting beliefs were the ones running the show. No matter how many times I paid off my credit card balance, I would always find myself back overspending, back in debt, because I didn't address the root cause. I didn't address the underlying limiting beliefs that were keeping me stuck in the same cycles. So if you find yourself in a similar situation with money, you're overspending, maxing out your credit cards, or if every time you do make more money, there's an unexpected bill or expense that comes along and takes that money, then you have a limiting belief. There is some money trauma that you have to address. Here are some questions to reflect on if you are struggling in the same area. What are some common phrases that I heard about money growing up, such as money doesn't grow on trees, or that's not for us, only rich people can do this? How did I witness my parents handling money growing up? What is my current relationship with money like today? Start by asking yourself these questions to get to the root of your money trauma. And I highly recommend the book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, if you want to go deeper with your money inner work. I want to address a common limiting belief that I have heard pretty much all of my life, and that is money is evil. There is a scripture in the Bible that a lot of people have taken out of context. It doesn't say that money itself is evil. That scripture actually says that money is the root of all kinds of evils. Correction, I meant to say that the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. Money is just a tool. Money is neutral. Money itself isn't good or bad. And I wish that someone would have told me this so much sooner. I spent a lot of time subconsciously believing that there was a problem with having more money, that if you had more money, you were inherently bad or evil. What I've learned over the years is that if you believe that money itself is evil, then you will constantly repel money because you can't attract in something that you believe is evil because your subconscious mind is always trying to protect you. So if you have this belief that money is bad, it's evil, then your subconscious mind is going to find every possible way to block it out of your life. And I believe that that is one of the enemy's greatest tricks against God's people, keeping us poor, keeping us broke, having us believing that money is evil so that we'll never pursue it. Money is a tool. It's not about the money itself. It's about what you choose to do with the money. We need more kind and good-hearted people to have money because the more money you have, the more impact you can make on the world. The Bible tells us to be generous givers, but how can you be a generous giver if you are in survival mode yourself? How can you truly be a generous giver and give abundantly if you are living paycheck to paycheck? If you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, how can you truly be a generous giver? We need money in order to build homes for the homeless, build schools and charities, fund mission trips, give back to our communities. How can we be charitable if we don't have any money or any income coming in? Think about it like this. If we had more good-hearted, generous, kind people who were getting rich, we would have such a better world. Money itself is neutral. It doesn't make you into someone you're not. Money just amplifies the person you already are. So if this is a limiting belief for you, think about all the wonderful things you can do with more money, helping people get out of debt, buying your time back, spending more time with your family and raising your children, being able to give your children a good life where they don't have to struggle. We serve a God who is so abundant, who created this entire planet for us to live and thrive on. Everything that God creates is in abundance. Go outside and try to count all of the blades of grass, all of the leaves on the trees, all of the trees themselves, the hairs on our head, the cells in our bodies. Everything that God creates is always multiplying and replenishing. Why would a God who's so abundant, who created this abundant earth for us to live on, who gave us so many gifts and skills and talents, why would he create us with all of this potential just to be poor, just to be broke, just to be living significantly below that potential? God created us with a purpose. It says in the Bible that God has given us the ability to create wealth. And this leads me to my next point, which is sitting on your gifts and talents. This is a mistake that I made for years. I thought that if I just prayed hard enough that God would magically take away all of my debt, that God would magically increase my income, that money would just start flowing into my account just because I prayed for it, just because I believed for it. But I was sadly mistaken. And what I noticed over the years is that every time I would pray about my income, every time I would ask God for more money, I wouldn't necessarily get an answer that I was looking for. All of my answers would appear in the form of creative ideas. Start this business, start posting on YouTube, start doing this, write that book. I would get so many creative ideas, but I was frustrated because I said, God, this isn't what I asked for. But little did I know it was what I asked for. God was answering my prayer, but it just wasn't in the way I was expecting him to. Money follows purpose. Money follows action. Money follows risk takers. When you are taking risk, when you are stepping out on faith, starting your own business, when you are walking in your purpose and activating your creativity, that is when you'll start to see more income come into your life. Have you ever noticed that a majority of the millionaires are business owners? That's not by coincidence. It's because money follows purpose. Money follows creativity. Money follows people who are impacting lives. When you are walking in your purpose, providing goods and services that are helping other people by the masses, that is how you attract wealth into your life. And another thing that I noticed is that most of the 9-to-5 jobs are not set up for you to be wealthy. They're not set up for you to become a millionaire. There aren't a lot of jobs that has $1 million salary. And there's exceptions to every rule. I'm not saying that you can't use your 9-to-5 job to build wealth, which is what we all should be doing. But I'm saying that the 9-to-5 structure is not created for you to become a millionaire. Most millionaires are business owners, people who took risk, people who tapped into their creativity, people who are changing thousands and thousands of lives. We all have that seed of creativity inside of us, but we allow fear and self-doubt to talk us out of our destiny. Ask God to be your business partner so that you can create a business that not only impacts your life, but thousands of other lives. And I'm not saying that everyone should quit their job and become a full-time entrepreneur, but in this economy, everyone should have multiple streams of income. Passive income, investments, affiliate marketing, social media. Nowadays, there are so many ways to make money. Even the Bible talks about multiple streams of income. There is so much There are so many, if you read Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, you will learn a lot about money management, business. There's a scripture in Ecclesiastes that tells us that we should have multiple streams of income because having one stream of income is too close to having no streams of income. The next point is being a generous giver, and there are so many scriptures in the Bible that talks about generosity, being a generous giver. The more you give, the more you receive, and how you give is very important too. I noticed that years ago when I would give money to the collection plate, it felt as if I was giving with a closed fist. Like I was giving from the energy of scarcity. I was giving as if the money wouldn't come back to me. But once I let go of that limiting belief, I started to tell myself that the more money I give, the more I receive. This money is going to be a blessing to so many people. Everything that I give is coming back to me tenfold. An easy way to start practicing your giving muscle is to start tipping. Whenever you get a chance, tip. A rule that I created for myself is that whenever there's an opportunity for me to tip, I'm going to tip, even if it's just $1, even if I'm just purchasing something from the store, getting something from Starbucks. When you go out to restaurants, leave your servers a generous tip because your new rule for life is that money is always flowing back to me. The more I give, the more I receive. Every time you spend money, don't think of it as, oh, this money is never coming back to me. Always tell yourself there's more where that came from. Every dollar that I spent is coming back to me tenfold. Allow those thoughts to play in your head. Let these thoughts become your new rules to reality. Every time I find a nickel, a penny, it doesn't matter how small it is, I pick it up and I tell myself I am a money magnet. I'm so grateful, God. You are just showing me your abundance. It may seem insignificant, but what you're doing is you're retraining your brain to see the abundance around you. Even though I'm still in the process of learning about business and investments, I write in my gratitude journal almost every day how grateful I am now that I have this amount of money, now that I'm financially free, now that I've paid off all of my debt. The more you start to express gratitude for something you don't currently have, the more your brain will start to look for clues and evidence that it's already here. Even in my prayer time, I'm thanking God for a successful business. I'm thanking God for my future investments because that is putting your faith into action. Well, ladies, that is all for this video. I feel like I have so much more I want to say on this topic. If you want a part 2 to this video, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.